Welcome to the channel. My name's Stu and this is a story about returning to play electric guitar after putting it down nearly 40 years ago, and the lessons learned to get up to speed with the many changes in the music industry when looking to purchase guitars, amps and pedals. So do check out the previous videos, which is the introduction to my journey. So in the last video I shared my schoolboy story when I came face to face with a guitar that just captured my imagination, and that being the classic Gibson Firebird, and how nearly 50 years later I would end up owning one and fitting that Duesenberg tremolo unit. Now of course the Firebird was synonymous with blues rock legends like Johnny Winter, and it's on that topic of the sound of the blues that I'll be revealing another well-known icon from the past, and that being an amplifier. Now in my previous videos you'll have seen that I use both the Fender Twin Reverb Tone Master, that's a digital amplifier, and the Blackstar 6L6, a hybrid valve digital arrangement. They're both really good amps. But there was an amplifier that got my attention some time ago, and it was because of mixed reviews that I took a step back and just kind of bided my time. Now after a number of searches through the usual music stores, I couldn't get my hands on what I was looking for. They were either sold out or they were on back order, and then I found a little store that had just taken delivery of one, and I got it at a good price before the price hike started, and it arrived the next day. What famous little valve amp do you think it could be? Well, of course, the Fender Blues Jr. This being the lacquered tweed version, and first impressions, like the Blackstar, a dinky little combo with a very tasteful finish, and once again, like the Blackstar, my wife thought it looked lovely. So on that front, at least, its safety is assured, as long as it delivers the tone goods. So what do we have? Well, we've got a control panel that's quite simple. It has a master volume and a gain control and a fat switch, which I presume is to thicken the tone. And turning round reveals the open back, and we see the speaker fitted is a Jensen speaker. So before I give you some tones to listen to, having now had time with this, let me give you a quick impression of what I like and what I don't like. What I do like, the cabinet and its lacquered tweed finish is good quality. It's solid and well put together. The control panel is simple and just typical of a small combo. There's an output jack socket if you want to use an external speaker cabinet, and access to the valves is pretty easy. The reverb is fairly nice, as long as you don't overdo it, but I think I do prefer my Tone Master. So what don't I like? Well, it's not imperative, but why no standby switch? And I'm not keen on the way the mains cable is stored inside the cabinet. Could have been a better divider in place to stop an accident where the plug or the cable could damage a valve or component if care wasn't taken. And a cover would have been nice. Same point I raised with the Blackstar, and I mention it because I did get a cover with the Tone Master. Some folks, they say that they would have liked 2 jack input sockets on the control panel, but that's not really an issue for myself. The fat switch is something I'm not sure about. Depending on whether you're using single coil or humbucking pickups, this has to be a personal preference decision. Now, the valve overdrive, the valve crunch sound, and here's what I personally feel. If you turn the amp up to its sweet point, and no, that's not full volume, and depending on the pickups that are in your guitar, you will get a valve overdrive sound, but it is way too loud for the average home. And another point I would raise is it feels like the cabinet can't cope with high volume. It's like the headroom is lacking, and perhaps this is where using a separate speaker cabinet may eradicate that issue. And This of course now adds to the setup, and it becomes questionable if you're looking for an amp that's portable. As for the master volume and gain controls, well, getting the overdrive sound at lower volumes, yes, you can do that, but you know, sorry, this is not what I would call classic valve crunch tone. It just sounds flubby. It's a word I hear people using. However, by using either my Tube Screamer or Timmy overdrive pedal adjusted to suit, and you do get a much better tone. Of course, it's again down to personal preference whether you use that setting or you just go clean and let your pedals do the work. Again, this is my own opinion, and if you have one of these amps you may feel very different, but I will say I have seen very similar comments, and that's why I took my time about getting a hold of one of these amps. So let's see what it generally sounds like. And I'm going to start off with a Stratocaster, so single coils, and then I'll move over to something with humbucking pickups. For those of you who'd like to know how things were recorded, in this example I'm using a Sennheiser mic, an MD421, a Series 2, and I prefer this as it has a slightly warmer feel to the popular Shure SM57 that often gets used. Placement is usually either at the edge of the speaker dust cap or in the middle of the cone, so testing the mic across the speaker should determine your own preference. Dual miking, of course, is very popular in recording studios. So the MD421 is set about an inch from the speaker cloth, which in turn is plugged into a mixer, which in turn is plugged into the camera, which records at 24-bit 48 kHz. To add room tone to the recording, I use my vocal broadcast mic. It's a Sennheiser MKH50, which has a slightly warmer feel, and that's just pointed up towards the ceiling. So my personal thoughts on the Fender Blues Jnr Lacquered Tweed model. Well, it's got a really traditional early Fender look. It looks cool sitting in the studio. It has a nice valve tone and a reasonable reverb if not adjusted up too much. It's a good clean platform for pedals, and for that valve crunch overdrive tone, sorry, just not a good sound to my ears. And it's a pity because I was hoping for better. For me, this amplifier was headed for studio use only, but if I needed to play in a live performance, I would definitely use my Tone Master instead, because it's way lighter, sounds like a valve amp with very good reverb, and has huge amounts of headroom. Having said all that, I'm not in a hurry to sell it, like my reissue Stratocasters and their classic old cases and my Tweed style guitar leads. It reminds me of days gone by, my younger days and the fun of starting out. So time will tell if I hold on to it. In the next video, well, it's been quite a journey investigating all kinds of equipment and trying out various guitars, amplifiers and pedals, and now it's time to record. And once again, research is needed to seek out hardware and software to do that job. And if you like the content, then subscribing and hitting the usual buttons are much appreciated. And please do add your own comments below or any questions you think I might be able to help you with. So until next time, the journey continues. Take care.